Welcome into Kyle, Brust and Nortman. How are you?
I'm good, Ben. Which question was that?
As we were discussing Jordan Love's impending contract, it was just the follow-up about how comfortable he would be heading into next season under his current deal.
Oh, yeah. I asked him, is there any chance you'd play under this deal? And, I mean, there's no reason he would, right? I mean, this contract that he has now is only going to pay him $11 million in 2024. And, I mean, it would be malpractice on his representation part to allow the client to play for that kind of money this year.
So I do want to ask you, right, because you were there. Obviously, there's a tone and body language, and there could be an overlooking it. It could be an underlooking it. He, to me, was a little bit different, right? Because this is a new situation for him. Yeah. Did you feel as if it was an exchange where you felt confident that they were going to get something done soon?
Yeah, soon-ish. I doubt anything happens before, like, the night before training camp. Like, to me, that's probably, like, the earliest possible time that it gets done, but which is fine. Like, the second deadline would then be the day before the first preseason game, and the ultimate deadline would be, the day before the regular season. I got the sense that Jordan, first of all, didn't really want to talk about it because he's not comfortable talking about this because he's never been in this situation before. I also got the sense that he was like, you know what, I'm not that worried about it right now. This is where I want to be.
Preach.
Look, I'm wearing the red jersey. I'm not going to, the chances of him getting hurt wearing the red jersey, the non-contact jersey, are slim. I mean, sure, you could always take a bad step and tear your ACL. That obviously
knock on that wood now, Rob.
Right, I am knocking. But I don't think that there's great concern on his part right now. Now let's on July 25th or whatever the eve of training camp is, let's talk again.
I'm surprised to hear it might happen that late. I figured for sure it would happen this summer, and I'd be surprised if he entered training camp without a deal. So what do you think would be something that Jordan Love would realistically sit out of if a deal isn't made up to that point? Is it training camp in total? Is it the preseason games? I mean, if he gets to week one, he's holding out, right?
Yeah, I think the first starting point, Brad, is that you don't play in a game, right? A preseason game. You don't play where you can get hit. If for some reason they don't have a deal before the first preseason game, then you can't put him out there if you're his people. Now at that point, does it become like, all right, is this a holdout, a hold in, whatever you want to call these things now? I don't think we're going to get to that point. I really don't. But I don't think we're there yet in terms of a contract. The other thing too, from a bookkeeping standpoint, there's some things that aren't coming off the books until after June 1, most notably the Devondre Campbell money will right now it's all sitting on this year's cap, all the dead money, but after June 1, the rest, one part of it goes on this year's cap and the remaining parts go on next year. So really after June 1, they're going to see an increase in their available salary cap space.
Rob, what do you think everybody's waiting for? Like, in the sense of Jordan Love, is Jordan Love waiting for that Tua contract to come, Dak contract? Is no one wants to be the next guy? What is it?
Well, Kyle, that's a great point. Like, it's right now, it's somewhat of a staring contest between, Tua and Jordan Love, and perhaps Dak Prescott's in that conversation also. Although I think his is a little different situation because he's not, he's obviously not still on his rookie deal. I do think there's a little bit of a game of chicken going on, between those two guys. I actually should have looked this up, but I wonder, and I can probably do this while we're talking. I wonder they don't have the same agent. I don't think. David Malagueta is Jordan Love's agent. Let's see. Drew Rosenhaus is Tua's agent. So no, it would be really weird if they had the same agent, right? Which we've seen in coaching stuff. Like, I mean, agents have had multiple head coaches interviewing for the same job. There was a point this year where Mike McCarthy, Mike Pettin, Joe Philbin all had the same agents. They were the three, the head coach and coordinators. So it's a weird deal that's not going to play in this situation, though.
Talk with Rob Demovsky here on Kyle, Brust and Nortman across ESPN Wisconsin. Ben Brust, Kyle Wallace, Brad Nortman, Alex Strofe running the show. Rob, we get into OTAs and you see all these, quotes every year. This guy is in the best shape of their life, and this person made this jump. Like, are there any tangible storylines that you're genuinely shocked by and not just like, oh, here we go again, I'm just putting out content for OTAs?
I once had an editor who said, I'm barring all of you guys from writing stories about this guy being in the best shape of his life or that guy being in the best shape of their lives, because that's like, who isn't? It's sort of like, I remember last year talking to my editor about the defense, and I said, the Jair and Rasul Douglas say they're going to be a more aggressive defense, and my editor said, when's the last time anybody said they were going to be less aggressive on defense? And I said, good point. And sure enough, we saw what happened with Joe Barry's defense. But look, I do think that there's a few interesting things, that always come out of the OTAs. One, there's always injuries that you didn't know about. And certainly we had that yesterday with Zach Tom and Tucker Kraft both having torn pecs, which I think is interesting because they both happened while lifting in the facility. And as we know, there's a new strength and conditioning staff.
I was concerned about that.
A little bit of a red flag there.
Written down in my notes.
All right, read your note real quick.
It is strange.
No, here it is. Should we be concerned with new strength and conditioning coach in torn pecs? Kraft injury is the bloated chemistry.
Matt LaFleur had one too,
Matt LaFleur, and he was probably working out with him too.
Valid question, Kyle. And then, there's also interesting things at this time of year to see where guys line up. Like, for example, Jordan Morgan told us during rookie minicamp, I'm a left tackle. I've only played left tackle. I want to play left tackle. Well, where's the first spot we saw him line up yesterday? Right tackle. Yep. Now, he did move over and play some left tackle, obviously with Zach Tom's injury. You can't really, he's not in there. You can't really make a whole lot out of that now because the injury shuffles guys around. But I do think at this time of the year, there's always those types of things that are interesting to watch. And, of course, to me, one of the biggest things that I wanted to know is what did Christian Watson find out about his hamstring injury? And I did tweet, and I think we all tweeted a little bit about what he said yesterday. I'll have a further story on that later, either tomorrow or Friday on ESPN.com. But the things that he found out, what's causing his hamstring injuries, he went to Ben's alma mater and got the once over from the incredible medical staff there, and they found a huge difference in the muscle mass and strength in each of his legs. The left one being much stronger than the right one having the hamstring injuries. He said it was around 20% difference in symmetry. And right now he's at about 10%, and the idea is to get it down to about 6%. No one apparently ever has both sides of their body, whether it's arms, legs, whatever, exactly the same. But they are working toward that and believe that could be what solves his hamstring problems. I think that's really interesting. He looked great yesterday running routes, but so what? I'm more interested in whether they have this thing figured out.
Rob, before I get to my hear Brad out, because I always love hearing your
horrible.
opinion. No, it's such a good
Don't set him up like that.
You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and ask.
Yeah, go ahead and ask him.
Can I say one thing first before we get to hear Brad out?
Please.
I'm gonna make a confession that sometimes during this past season I would listen to the Hear Brad Out segment so that I could think about whether I wanted to agree with Brad or not. Today I did not. So I cheated a little bit during the season. Today I have no idea what to hear Brad.
Honest man, so Rob Demovsky.
I appreciate that. I always appreciate being prepared, so I don't blame you 1 second for it. But this today was, Rob, I'm sick of these rain delays with baseball. MLB rain delays should be banned. Let the boys play in the rain. Soccer, golf, the soft quote-unquote sports, they play through rain. I'm not talking about torrential downpours or lightning.
Yeah.
But darn it, baseball is played outside, play in the rain. I'm not concerned about the field.
He's also not concerned about batters' heads.
They're fine. They wear a helmet. Let the boys play in the rain. I'd be entertained by it. I'm sick of postponed games. I think it'd be an entertaining product.
Boy, I don't know that I can agree with you on this one.
Oh, come on, Rob. You want to agree.
And here's why, Brad. Like, they play so many games that, like, if you rain out one or two, what's the big deal, right? And you don't make – I mean, I know they try to make all of them up. But, like, first of all, golf plays in some rain, but once the course becomes unplayable, you can't play. And soccer, I mean, I've never watched an entire soccer game in my life, let alone one in the rain, so I can't speak to that. I don't like lightning. So obviously, if you have lightning, you're canceling it. Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Well, Rob, I appreciate your insights. I wasn't going to say this if you would have agreed with me, but Christian Watson went to my alma mater as well. I went to Wisconsin.
Yeah, you're right.
Not as memorable, am I right?
Yeah.
I got to admit, I watched more college basketball than I did college football.
It's a hoops junkie.
That's all right, Rob. I'm just giving you a hard time.
I am a hoops junkie.
Kids coming up the AAU circuits right now. Rob Demovsky of ESPN is joining Kyle Brust and Nortman. You got some, Kyle?
I do have something, Rob, because,
jump right in.
Do you feel like there's just a new life and refreshing feel from not having somebody come to the podium during a press conference talking about how they could have been the vice president candidate for Bobby Kennedy? And does he call you Bobby as well?
Well, he called me Bob, which I hated.
Yeah, what the heck? Who is this guy?
Here's the thing, though. Like, here's the thing that has been left unsaid in this whole thing, and I don't care who you vote for or whatever, but Robert Kennedy Jr. was not winning. He is not winning. So, like, to say he would have been vice president and would have had to retire, no. Like,
Aaron Rodgers would have gave him the boost he needed, Bob.
Okay. Whatever you say, Kyle. But yeah, to answer your question, it is a different era in terms of how and what we write about as it pertains to the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers.
Be honest, Bob. I'm such an ass.
Yeah.
So is Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. You are, Ben, but that's not breaking news.
I know. But, like, let's be honest. Your stories were written for you because of Rodgers. Like, he was a content factory.
Yeah, so here's what my stance was on this and probably always will be. I really, really enjoyed covering Rodgers during the season for two reasons. One, you were probably going to see something incredible happen on the field. And two, on Wednesday, when you stood at his locker or Sunday after the game, he was going to give you interesting stuff to write about. So that part of it, like, I miss and probably always will miss. The off-season stuff, listening to him on podcast this or podcast that, I don't miss that at all. So I do think there's the good and bad.
Anything else from Kyle or Brad before we let Bob go?
That's all I got, Rob. I'll call you the real name.
Of
Rob.
course you will.
Yeah.
Brad, let me get, since I didn't include you as a Wisconsin alum, should I include you? Were you a holder?
I was a holder.
Extra point.
I was.
So I would think you would be fascinated, because as am I, fascinated by special teams and the current kicking competition.
Oh, yeah.
That has been going on. Now, here's a new twist to it. There's nobody underneath the goalposts at practice, or at least there wasn't yesterday, signaling whether kicks were made or missed. And as you know, standing on the sideline at like a 45-degree angle, unless the ball hits the net, it's near impossible to tell if these kicks went through or not. So we were arguing on the sideline as a media corps yesterday about whether kicks were good or not. And the very fact that we weren't sure if some of them went through.
No, Rob, stop. We're going to lose Kyle's heart.
Rob, was that all three kickers? But by the way, I think if you have three kickers, you don't know what the heck you're doing.
Yeah, no, yesterday, if you have three kickers, you have none, right? Yesterday it was just Anders Carlson and Greg Joseph. So we did not see Podlesny kick.
Oh, boy.
Oh, he ain't gotten better, Rob. I'm going to break our hearts. I'm telling you this now. Next January, the Packers are going to have...
Rob, it was great having you.
Thanks coming on, Rob.
Oh, man.
All right, guys. We'll see you soon.
That's Rob Demovsky, a.k.a. Bob of ESPN, joining Kyle, Brust and Nortman. I just can't help myself.
Jake Bates. What's his name? They got to sign him.